Oh, dearie me, that's not off to a good start. But yes, good day, ladies and gentlemen, and today we are here to take a look at Blood. Now, I think I've streamed some Blood-like things before, but I don't think I've streamed Blood itself. This is actually a source port for Blood. I believe it's a modified eDuke 32 kind of thing. And so we're going to be taking a look at the very first episode, The Way of All Flesh. And pink on the inside. Oh dear, that's not horribly suggestive. Yes, it seemed proper to do Blood, seeing as how just yesterday we did the rest of Dusk. And Dusk does indeed owe a lot to Blood. Blood is one of those unsung first-person shooters that even I didn't play back in the late 90s. I didn't even know this existed until around, like, 2011. Like, it took me a long time to discover this particular game. Gotta say, though, it's not my favorite of the build engine games. I feel it's just a little too annoyingly difficult. Now, I did initially play this with the DOSBox version, and there is a way to make it look good, there is a way to make it play fairly good as well, but this is significantly easier, I should say. And I haven't actually built a new PC yet, Matthew. I'm doing that tomorrow. I had to wait for the SSD to come in, and it came in today. Got me a little SanDisk, and that should work quite well. Tomorrow, with the new PC, I'm going to take out all the fans and do a thorough cleaning. I'm going to put new thermal paste on the heatsink. I might apply some thermal paste to the graphics card, just have to see. But by end of day tomorrow, it should be completed. And I'm looking forward to working on it, simply because that's half the fun of being a PC gamer. You know, building the entire bloody unit. And hello, Big Swole. But that being said, being a PC gamer is sometimes annoying, sometimes aggravating, but ultimately it is very, very satisfying. And yes, I'm going to still be using Windows 10. Windows 10 isn't as bad as it could be. You can turn off that bloody spyware crap that Microshaft wants you to use. And really, that's the one problem with Microshaft. You know, they really are a monopoly when it comes down to it. Okay, why won't this guy die? I'm assuming that's a glitch of some description, because he's still running around. Shouldn't you have melted by now? Yeah, he is completely bugged out. He is completely... He's just not dying. This did not happen yesterday when I tested the game. Now, one of the things I'm really looking forward to is being able to play OpenGL games again, because the RX 480, for as good as it is, it just does not like OpenGL at all. Like, some games just won't even run. Like, Wolfenstein: The New Order will not work with the RX 480. Which is kind of weird, because the Asus 7770 still worked. Oh, and the weird red thing that was in that's in the case, that is actually a Wi-Fi card. And Uncle Shagnasty is actually going to send me the Wi-Fi antennas. I haven't actually used Wi-Fi in some time. I've just used the wired connection. But if he's got an epic Wi-Fi card in there, I might as well use it. Even though the router is literally in the next room. Whatever. It's there. And I want to make use of this wireless internet sort of thing. How to use Windows 10 Lite. Go back to the cracked wall and blow it up. Where's the cracked wall? Let's see. I know that thing explodes. Oh, come on, blow it up. Well, I guess this is not Duke Nukem. I was expecting that to explode. Is there anything in the sink? And no, there's nothing in the sink. Oh, well. Smashy, smashy. I like how just the bodies explode. But this is a game that was quite interesting, both in its day and today, in many... And he's still on fire! He's still just burning. He's like in perpetual agony. I totally didn't plan that, by the way. I did not see a cracked wall. I'm sure it's probably really obvious. Okay, let's take a look. I probably walked past it like 3 times. It's the mausoleum crypt out the door to the left. And yes, this is an actual proper source port. Well, Luke W, it didn't work for me. I eventually got to a part of the game where it would literally crash every 5 seconds. So I was kind of screwed on that one. I do not know why. Maybe it's just my setup. I'm seeing no cracked wall. Actually, wait. Well, I don't care. Whenever I do these live streams, my ability to see things drops by about 20 points for whatever reason. But I will grab that TNT. Gotta love those voxels. Oh, there it is. Ugh. Really? Did I just blow myself up like an idiot? Yes. Yes, I did. But at least I know where it is now. I'm all the way back here. Now, when it comes down to it, though, I still would love to have a proper source port for Dark Forces. Dark XL, as far as I know, has pretty much stopped development, and there's a bunch of issues with it. And with the setup I have now, I can't get it to work. I just walked past it just a second ago and blew myself up trying to blow... You know, the dynamite in this game really does have a lot of splash damage. And I'd completely forgotten how bad that splash damage actually was. It's been some time since I've actually played Blood. And even then, this was not a game I really grew up with. Did not even know it existed. Really? This is going to be painful. This is called In Blood. And it works pretty well, actually. I'm quite fond of it so far. Even if Blood is still extraordinarily difficult. If you look at how much damage I've already taken. This is not an easy game by any stretch of the imagination. But it definitely does have one hell of an aesthetic, that is for sure. You can pick up a doctor's bag and it gives you a grand total of 13 health. Thank you, Izmir, for the quick saves. Turn on the light. Goddamn rats. But you can definitely see where the creators of Dusk got a lot of their inspiration, because Dusk really is much more Blood, as you can see, than it ever was Quake. Take a grand total of 1 hit. Even the rat does 2 points of damage. It's like completing level 1 of this is not an easy prospect. Let's see, do I have anything I can attack with? I got some dynamite. Let's chuck that over there. Blow him up. Save. And then chuck that down there. And blow him up. And this definitely does not get emo in any way, shape, or form. It's still nice and dark and extra crispy. Okay, throw. Don't blow me up. This is actually one of LGR's earliest reviews. He got to it long before I'm going to get to it, that's for sure. He probably can play it better too, although, since it was one of his earlier reviews, he actually did use cheat codes. I noticed that unlimited ammo cheat there, LGR. Max Payne from bookstore. Max Payne requires some tweaking, it'll work. People with NVIDIA cards couldn't run the new order. Huh. I don't know. It just would not. It would keep crashing due to the. It would keep crashing due to the chains that you had to cut in the museum level. So I was kind of screwed with that. Down to 1 health. That's going to happen a lot. So it's just one of those things. At the very least, the one game I'm looking forward to being able to run, you know, with full graphics is Knights of the Old Republic. Due to it being an OpenGL game, the RX 480 hates it, and thus I have to turn down the graphics for it to even run, for it to even boot up. But that's not an RX 480 thing. I had to do that with an earlier NVIDIA card, or not NVIDIA card, AMD card. God damn it! It's the problem with having 1 health. Come on. Just keep popping out. As I always say, this is a game where you turn the corner and you'd better have quick saved. Because if you didn't... Where'd he come from? Just like he just appeared. These zombies, they do not die easily, that is for sure. Save. Dusk had one person, did nearly everything. I didn't know this one person did Dusk. That was a damn good job. His Dusk was extraordinarily excellent. That's usually how it goes. Independent games have one guy do it. Now, one of the things that I'm going to be trying soon is I bought a super cheap VR headset. I'm actually going to try playing X-Wing and TIE Fighter with that. Seeing as how it's more of one of those sit-down VR kind of things. And well, X-Wing and TIE Fighter in VR, that should be an interesting experience. Or at the very least, it'll be two big 1080... Or it's one 1080p screen as far as I know. It'll still be an interesting experience nonetheless. A way to experiment with the whole VR thing. Really, VR has kind of come a long way over the years. What's kind of funny though is that my first experience with VR was the Virtual Boy. Ah, don't tell me that. In Blood is evidently kind of buggy because I just got a crash with the old In Bloods. Okay, one moment. Let's kill it. And it's a good thing I saved. And I actually did do a Blood title card. But unfortunately... What? Assertion failed. PX sprite target. K max sprites and file source Blood. Okay, so what that means is when I saved, something broke in the game. So it's still buggy, evidently. Buggier than I thought it would be. Because it just crashed. Okay, let's... Am I going to really have to restart the entire bloody thing? Yep, because that was my only save. Well, so, pro tip, when it comes to running In Blood, make sure that you save in multiple slots. Otherwise, you'll find yourself having to restart the whole goddamn game. So there's a bug right there. Okay, we'll go through this. Might as well just save that. Save over that. Maybe this time I won't suck so much. And welcome, Silver Wings. And you're not late, Omgul Dude. I just started. Although, I already finished this level, but In Blood is sadly buggy to the point where you can screw yourself and have it constantly crash on you. Save. This level did not seem to have any issues, so... Actually, well, I haven't really made any progress, so I'm not going to bother with it. I'm not going to bother having multiple saves until a bit later. Although we already had a bug in this one, with one of those cultists just running around constantly on fire. Well, all I can say is, it's not like there's blood on consoles. Although it's kind of interesting that this never got a console port. But then again, neither did Shadow Warrior. I guess it just wasn't marketable enough. Well, Rise of the Triad didn't get one either. And those are fairly well-remembered first-person shooters as well. So, I doesn't know... Okay, let me see. Did I have okay, there we go. Goddamn rats. Even the rats can kill you. Everything can kill you in this goddamn game. Now, when I first played this, back like in 2011, I was quite surprised that your melee weapon here was a pitchfork, which was rather interesting to me. I mean, you don't really see that altogether that often. I mean, Lo Wang had a sword, and Duke Nukem had size 13 boot. Although one wonders if he wasn't over-exaggerating his foot size. Now watch, Duke Nukem might be all big and bad, but he still has flat feet. Let's see. Right now, and the mouse axis is kind of weird. Yeah, the mouse is a little sluggish, but you get used to it after a while. It's just one of those things you gotta get used to. Dark XL was kind of like that, where the mouse was a little sluggish. But then again, Dark XL had a bunch of other problems too. Most notably, the cutscenes didn't work. Okay, this time I'm not gonna blow myself up. Now, Caleb's laugh just sounds a little off, you know, compared to his normal speaking voice. It's a little higher pitched. Come on, stab it. First. Okay, good. He finally exploded. But look at that. Just going into this room, after having a little bit of practice, already, I'm down to 47 health. Not anymore. And blood is weird. The HUD text won't show. The HUD text works for me, so that's one thing. No, I'm not going to grow my beard out. I probably could, but... Oh, crap. That was a wasted... That was a complete waste. I've just been lazy and have not shaved. I'm probably going to shave sometime next week. The problem with me, I never can get a razor that cuts 100% right, so I end up cutting myself no matter what I do. So I find that very unpleasant. And toss. Did that kill him? It better have. Is that foot always animated? I don't remember. Okay, now. Save. 2. There we go. That way, just in case it does that crashing thing again, I won't have to worry about going all the way back to the first level. Alright, and throw. And you gotta like a man who loves his work. Although I do not think it is historically accurate for him to have that kind of lighter. Smashy smashy time. I think the biggest difference between In Blood and Blood GDX is Blood GDX is basically a remake of sorts of Blood in the Duke Nukem engine, and this is the original, well, Blood engine running, I think? I could be wrong, so don't quote me on that. Ugh, I took down the Dusk live streams. I'm actually, actually, I just finished today. What I'll do for like a full game, that's been completely streamed, is I will actually take them down and edit them. Edit out some of the mistakes or like audio issues and stuff like that, and fix little problems that crop up. So they're gonna go back up next week. Because like the first Dusk live stream, I had an issue where the audio wasn't coming from my microphone because I forgot to reset it in OBS. So that was like 5 minutes of just me talking without making any sound. And it's little issues like that come up here and there. A lightsaber to shave. Pfft. I'll tell you this, just using a basic razor is painful most of the time. Although, there was a time when I was able to find some nice razors. Sadly, they're no longer manufactured. So, I'm kind of screwed when it comes to that. I do not know why there's half-naked dudes running around. It just seems kind of strange. Just like with Dusk, it's hard to say what exact time period this is, because you've got like modern day light switches and things of that nature. Worst game ever. Now, you know, when I first got this Miskatonic Station, you know, there's actually a novel that I read not too long ago. What was it called? After the End of the World. Where like Cthulhu rewrote reality, where the National Socialists won the war, but didn't do a full Wolfenstein or anything. They still exist, but they're sort of like an alternate Soviet Union. But also in that world, there's no Some city in Rhode Island is different. I knew that secret was there. Oh crap. Hey, you can do third person, which... never really did. Huge ass. See, there you go. The Simpsons were still big back then and actually were funny. And we're still funny. Not just a horrible knockoff of Family Guy. Well, Textstorm, I have not actually started upgrading the PC just yet. And let's see, zombie, half-naked guys, pretty ear-reapy. So basically, this is better than any modern-day artist. Still better than Justin Bieber. It's the all streaming all the time. KZMB. Goddamn rats. Duke Nukem didn't have to put up with rats. Let's see, it looks like it is Elvira. They kind of reuse that screen when you jump on there. Okay, what did that open up? But this is definitely a much darker game than just about any of the other Build Engine games. It's still more or less a comedy game, though, in many instances. Because it's not like it's anywhere close to being serious. But back to that novel that I was mentioning, there's an actual Miskatonic University, there's actual Cthulhu monsters running around. It's quite interesting, actually. It's an alternate history story that actually has a legitimate amount of alternate history to it, and it's less about sweeping political changes and more about the characters. And the characters are actually pretty good. I think there might have been a little SJW-ness in it, but nothing too out there. Actually, make for an interesting video game. You could totally turn it into a first-person shooter. And throw! That was totally over... Actually, I was going to say that was overkill. It didn't kill anything. And once they get Thompsons, ugh. Those guys with Thompsons are just horrible. See, that's one of the things about Dusk. You know, Dusk is more difficult than, like, your average game. But... your average modern game. But this thing... I need a key. Don't we all need a key? A key to the door to December. If there was a Wolfenstein where the occult was replaced with Lovecraft. Well, that's kind of what that book I mentioned was about. It was except without the whole cyberpunk thing. Because the alternate history aspect of that particular book is where the National Socialists are able to create what is effectively an Eldritch horror bomb, and they drop it on Moscow, which causes the Soviets to surrender. It's interesting all around. Okay, I was already in here. Am I already lost on level 2? I know I missed a key. Okay, is there a way to turn that off? Because that's really annoying. Okay, where, oh where could that key be? Okay, that's already opened something somewhere. Because I do remember this level having much more maze-like levels than I normally like. Actually, wait a minute, what am I doing? It's over here. Just charge him and stab. Well, that was not a good plan. I will totally take the blame for just charging him with the pitchfork. But you saw how quick he killed me. Even though I'm already at 15 health. Where is my doctor's bag? What is a good M16 or AR-15? Well, remember, the M16 is a variant of the AR-15. Fire extinguisher in the kitchen, eh? Where is the fire extinguisher? Oh, there it is. So it is. Got some more TNT and some more flares. I was hoping that would explode, but not every barrel explodes. Hashtag not all. Or pound not all. Now that, I can get behind. But yeah, there's no one best AR variant. There's a lot of extremely expensive ones, but by far the best of the inexpensive ones I would recommend it either be the Smith & Wesson M&P 10 or potentially the double barrel. Or is it quad barrels? Now, I actually did use this one scene here for an intro because it's a really kind of a cool little scene, cool little battle here. Let's save. But yeah, the M&P 10, not M&P 10. I'm thinking of something completely different. The M&P 15 by Smith & Wesson is a good choice. You know, you got the Ruger AR-556. And those are just the budget ones. And then, of course, there's always the PSA rifle by Palmetto State Armory. The Freedom AR. That thing is extremely inexpensive and is very good for a first-time AR user. Doubler barrels. It's like the Chiappa triple threat, even though I find the Chiappa triple threat to be a completely pointless thing. Especially for the price those things command. Those things are like over $500 for a triple-barreled shotgun. It's like, just buy a pump action for like $200 and you'll get something better. Or if you want something that has a little more, shall we say, rapidity, there is, of course, always the Sega or the Chinese equivalent, which I think is the Catamount Fury 1, 2, or 3, whichever one it is. Those certainly work. Okay, let's save. Yeah, trying to find a book is not easy, especially if you've read a lot like I do. You know, it's like, what to read next? I've already read everything I want to read. These days, it's not as bad as it could be, because you've got access to all the self-published stuff from Amazon. Ah, we got a train level. You know, you could have moved, dude. Just saying. Alright, let's see here. This is a very blocky train. Apparently it's running on coal. I still like the NJ train from... that's one of the earliest Doom WADs I ever played. And it's still pretty impressive even to this day. What I did not realize when I initially played NJ Train is that it is really a lot like the Coronet level from Jedi Academy. Because in that level you have to try to get to the main control cab to stop the train from crashing into things. You know what I should have mentioned but didn't? Is that the Disciples of Ragnos in Jedi Academy act a lot like terrorists. Because they're like trying to crash trains, they're trying to unleash rancors. It's like Space Al-Qaeda, more or less. But, you know, that would have been kind of, shall we say, you might run afoul of the Gulag if you did that. Save. And for the younger fans who do not get the reference of Get Off My Train, that's a reference to a film called Air Force One. There we go, I almost forgot, with Harrison Ford. Where he says the famous line, "Get off my plane," and then throws somebody off of Air Force One. That film was notable for showing that Air Force One had a escape pod, which in real life it apparently does not. But you know what? As a kid, when I saw that movie, I was like, that makes perfect sense. It's kind of like Star Wars. Of course, it does make me wonder, though, could Air Force One have a escape pod? I mean, would there be enough room for that? I mean, it would probably weigh a lot, so that might not work, but still. One wonders if you could put an escape pod on a plane. Does not have to adhere to TDP. SFO1 train level is cool. Yeah, the train level in that game was pretty good. Resurgent of ancient Sith. You know, the ancient Sith seemed a lot more intelligent than the idiots that took place afterwards. Because, like, they had an entire empire, and it worked more or less. But in all reality, the Sith are usually portrayed as complete idiots that shouldn't even be able to run a government. And, you know, the more you learn about how difficult it is for societies to run, the more the Sith just look like... The Sith really are... Given the complexities of faster-than-light travel, given the complexities of modern-day society, the Sith really shouldn't be able to do much. Should not be able to put forth just hardly any threat to the Republic. And that's because the Sith do not actually care about innovation. They care about only obedience and power, which is kind of ironic, but your despotic states generally adhere to that concept. So, you know, there wouldn't be a Sith equivalent to Einstein. There wouldn't be a Sith equivalent to, you know, Henry Ford or something like that. You wouldn't have that. It would just be more or less the Soviet Union, which means it would stagnate bad. And actually, I don't even know if it would go... I don't think it would even go as far as the Soviet Union, seeing as how many major Sith states basically fall into monarchies. So what you'd have is something a lot like North Korea. So, yeah. That's just something that... That's something you just have to kind of ignore. You just repeat to yourself, it's just a game, or it's just a comic. You should really just relax. Brown L's. Oh yeah, the M16 clones. Snakes on a plane. Motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane. What's kind of interesting about Dark Empire is it's kind of implied that... Just me. There is no God. There is no devil. It's just me. But that aside, with Dark Empire, it's sort of implied that Palps is just sort of mentally dominating everyone. Of course, in Dark Empire 2, you know, he kind of loses that grip and immediately everyone starts betraying him. Although, in the Dark Empire fan novelization, that sadly, one cannot find anymore. It's a good thing I actually saved it. They have him being betrayed sooner than he was in the comic. But, in that fan novelization, they actually explain why there's a super laser on the Eclipse. And it's actually a much more scary reason than just blowing up planets. Effectively, the super laser on the Eclipse is solely so Palps can destroy uninhabited worlds and then suck up all that life energy. So, you know, in Dark Empire, Palps is pretty powerful. That's why Dark Empire is much more of a science fantasy than it is science fiction. It's still really good, though. There's a number of logical issues with it, but you know what? It's still a very, very fun comic series. And that fan novelization, Test of Wills, is even better, because it fills in a lot of details. It even gives Palps a name. I think I mentioned this in a live stream, but I'll mention it again just because it's really good. It gives Palps a name. Instead of Shreve, it's more real world than some might like, but I like it anyway. Nero Augustus Palpatine. I just like the sound of that. And there's my favorite real world reference of them all is, of course, Lando talks to Wedge and says, I'm sure you'd rather be on the highway to the danger zone than commanding a battle. It's like, highway to the danger zone. It works so perfectly. Top Gun in space. But can he land the plane on home one without crashing? Caligula Palpatine. Restock their AKs. Yes, I would like to have an AK, but alas. It's just hard for me to justify the purchase of another rifle right now. The PSA AKs are supposed to be pretty good. from what I've heard. Actual forged trunnions instead of cast. Not all cast parts are bad. Hashtag not all. It's just some cheap out on them. The Ruger P-Series was cast, as far as I know. And it was supposed to be pretty good. Come on, hit the thing! Security clamps disabled. There we go. Internal engine heat rising. Urge to explode rising. This is definitely an impressive looking game, to say the least. Now, why exactly the train was still moving despite the engine being blown up, one may never know. Bip. So wait, Palps was from Louisiana, eh? You're reading the first Go Trek and Felix Omnibus. I just didn't like Skaven Slayer. I know there's a number of people who do like it. My problem with Skaven Slayer is I don't like the Skaven. If you don't like them, then you'll definitely dislike it. But if you can stand the Skaven, then you can like it. It's just, I don't like them. I find them really boring. I find them really annoying. When it comes to the Warhammer fantasy villains, my favorites are the Greenskins, Chaos, and the Vampires. Because the Vampires are not those horrible, sparkly ones. They're actual, real, you know, horrors of the night. Although, one of the vampire villains in Go Trek and Felix, it's a later novel. I find his name kind of funny, just because he shares a name with the guy who would end up making Budweiser beer, which I find hilarious. I honestly thought that said monkey molesting. It's like, wait, was that in a game in the 90s? I would be kind of surprised by that. Not the mimes! Not the mimes! Ah, you gotta love that Tommy. Pinning on the old Vietnam foregrips. Take a while for an exploding train to stop. Yeah, I suppose. And an FN made barrel and an AK. I really do like the sound of that. Truly, all good things come to those who wait. But yeah, I never liked the Skaven. I have always found them to be really, really annoying Saturday morning cartoon villains. It's like, and I feel like they really kind of ruin the tone of any story they're in. Because they can be, you know, legitimately evil, but it just feels too comedic for my taste. And I know that Warhammer is supposed to be kind of like a dark comedy, but it just feels like, it feels too juvenile. I don't know, maybe I am too snooty when it comes to that, but that's just how I feel about it. And facts care about my feelings. Wait, what? I've always been a big fan of Chaos in Warhammer, be it Fantasy or 40k. Because it's such an interesting faction. You know, it's people that want to either gain power through malice or want to gain power through ignorance and greed. You know, and Chaos just is like the existential threat. Whereas the Skaven are just like a meh villain for me. And also, I didn't like the sewers. It's like it's sewer level, the book. I mean, when you've got, you know, seeing is believing. Your eyes can deceive you, don't trust them. Meh. Let's see, where was I? You know, because like, you go from Skaven Slayer to Dragon Slayer, or, not Dragon Slayer, Demon Slayer, and then Dragon Slayer. It's like, they're stuck in a sewer the entire book. Well, not the entire book, but still. Whereas, you know, you got... One is a trip to hell. The other is literally an airship fight against a dragon. I mean, you got an airship showing up and little fantasy planes flying out and trying to shoot it down. That is the coolest thing ever. At least it is me. Let's see. Nuke Nukem secret in this level? I do not. The newer handguards, heat shielding, is when they fight the plague monks in the cathedral. I don't know. I just didn't like the Skaven. I have not read it in many years. I just remember it being a very tedious book to read. Now that sound effect, of course, is from Aliens, but the sound effect they use for the power loader in Aliens actually comes from an earlier film called Kelly's Heroes, and that sound effect comes off. It seems like Caleb is a fan of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, evidently, since he seems to want JoJo. And I know nothing about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure other than it exists, and there's a game for it on the Dreamcast. That's kind of weird. Let's see here. How long have I been going? 40 minutes? It felt like I just started. See, that's how you know you're having fun, when it's like, yeah, you're just sitting here, you're talking about a game, and it's like, oh my god, it's been 3 hours! Where has the night gone? Okay, let me kill these guys real quick. Crap, crap, crap. Now this, of course, is the last live stream to be done on the old PC. I've been using that same PC case since like 2012. I've been using the same PC setup for like 3 years now. But as of tomorrow, I no longer will be. Which I guess is cool, but it's just time marching on, I suppose. You know, I'm going to have this power up and lose it shortly before I actually find anything. I do know there is a secret here, but I don't know where it is. Where Duke Nukem's like dead. And Caleb is, shake it, baby. Oh, poor Duke Nukem. You know, he's dead in real life too. We shall never get one that's actually good. Demon Slayer is the last time it really happens in the same film. The processor is literally the same. It's a donated processor. But, it's always good to have a spare. Oh yeah, that is the first full novel versus... Okay, that did absolutely nothing. I thought that would give me a key. Yeah, because Skaven Slayer and Troll Slayer both were books of short stories. And Troll Slayer has a lot of important information. Now, evidently, Gotrek is alive again after the end times. I've not listened to it yet, but there is a audio drama for Realm Slayer. I have no idea if it's any good, but evidently he's trying to find a reincarnated Felix. Now, I've never actually played Warhammer Fantasy on the tabletop, so I don't know what Age of Sigmar really plays like, but the whole idea of Age of Sigmar really annoys me. Really? Fall damage? Okay, I guess I gotta fall in here. Fall damage? Come on. Give me a break. Let's see, where was I? I just don't like the idea that the entire Warhammer Fantasy universe is now dead. Alright, so what I'm gonna do is, as I always do, I will be popping on here. And potentially having my co-commentators on. The FX series isn't that amazing, but it works well enough. Seems to actually operate well as full novels. And yeah, despite those early books being anthologies, there was a lot of character development. There's like one short story in, I think it's like the first short story in Troll Slayer where Gotrek gets his iconic look of having just the one eye. I'm not going to say how it happens, but that's how that happened. But it's in one of the very first short stories. Warhammer Fantasy is one of those things that it's really obscure compared to a lot of other fantasy series, but it is the one that is by far my favorite. I really do like the setting. I really do like the characters. I like the Empire in that a lot more than the Imperium in 40K. And I have been and always will be a big fan of the dwarves in that. It's like the dwarves finally get to do something versus just sit in a cave. Well, technically a mine. But whatever. Let's see. Alright, and we are, of course, bringing... Man, that takes a lot of CPU power.
Hey.
And we have Rain. How's it going?
Going alright.
This takes a lot of No, go on.
I'll spare you on Age of Sigmar. It's just bad. Very, very bad.
It certainly doesn't look that amazing. I feel like I'm contractually obligated to listen to Realm Slayer. Even Realm Slayer sounds like a stupid title. It's like, how is he going to slay an entire realm? Is he going to hit it with his axe?
Actually, it's pretty easy saying there's no world anymore. It's now just small, desperate realms.
It just sounds... That really sounds kind of dumb. I guess when I read this stuff, it just doesn't really kind of sink in. It's like... So it's just like... what's that called? It's a series by the people who did Dragonlance. Deathgate, where it's like there's these different realms that exist, like an Earth realm and a Sky realm. It's
yeah, but here's the thing: in the actual elemental planes, the elemental realms in Dungeons and Dragons, those are actually pretty much world-sized.
So let me guess, Age of Sigmar, they're like the size of Discworld.
They're small pocket dimensions. I would say Discworld is far larger.
Huh. So it's like, the entire realm is 50 feet. 500 miles. It's the size of Guam.
Or Rhode Island.
They just better not build too many factories there, otherwise it might tip over. And for those who don't know what I'm talking about, there was actually there was a sitting member of the U.S. government that said that if they built a factory on Guam, that the island would tip over. And I think that person's still sitting in Congress, too.
That's okay. We had recently one mayor say that, oh, pollen on her car was, a hate crime.
Yeah, it's like, people are so stupid. Caleb is not insane, just evilly programmed. They set him to evil!
He's not Cyberlip.
Dragonlance is okay. I didn't like Dragonlance that much, to be perfectly honest. The whole world just doesn't feel that interesting. It feels kind of dull. I read the first 3 books, the dragons of the various seasons. I thought the characters were kind of... Yeah, there's a lot of trippy moments in it. Like they ride unicorns. It just... I don't know. I didn't like it nearly as much. I didn't like Dragonlance or Forgotten Realms nearly as much as I did Warhammer Fantasy.
Yeah, before they killed it, I was a Greyhawk fan.
Did those actually get any books?
They got a few. Not as many as, say, Ravenloft and others.
Because I don't remember seeing any, but I never really looked for any either. Now, Greyhawk is kind of it's kind of weird from what I remember. Like, there's like a castle, and like, the only thing I remember is from, like, the, back when Spoonie was still somewhat sane. Him talking about how, like, you could meet Thor and, like, Captain Kirk and stuff like that.
That's actually from Planeswalker and Planescape. Planescape is actually all of the realms jammed in one.
Yeah, I've heard of that one.
It's basically the hub.
That's where, like, the Lady of Pain exists, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yes.
Which interests me. It's like, you can't kill her, but could, like, she give a quest, though?
She could basically tell you what to do. She can give you a quest. Now, she'll normally do so via her messengers because she's not the talkative type. Of course, if you piss her off, you're going to get mazed.
Yeah, I remember that from when Spoonie was still alive. The Minotaur that got stuck in a maze that was 100 million miles long going straight. Although, wasn't the Minotaur lost in the maze? in ancient mythology?
In the original mythology, yeah, there's certain mythology saying that, and that's where the player tried to cheese the rules and say, "Oh, a Minotaur can't get lost in a maze." Like, no, a Minotaur always knows where he is in a maze. He can be lost in one, but he always knows where he is.
Which is kind of useless. And no, I do not play D&D. I tried it once, and the DM I had was kind of boring. Spent like 3 hours, and the best we could do was kill some cows. I'll never forget that. And then he spent another 30 minutes rolling how much cow meat we could take, and then how much money we got from the cows. And it was like, really? This is what I'm wasting my day to do? Killing.
Unless you blew those cows up, the equation for how much meat you can take from a cow is already there in the base rules. There's no dice roll. It's a case of, okay, where you hit, how much damage do you do, and what's your physical strength? That will tell me your carry weight.
Yeah.
That's literally a less than 1 minute equation.
Well, he definitely must not have known it, because, god damn, that took forever. And then the ropes. And not the fun kind of ropes either. We're going to climb up the side of a cliff and attack. I don't even know what we're supposed to attack. I wasn't there long enough to actually attack anything. It's like, okay, what type of knot do you tie? It's like, I don't know. A square knot. It's like, well, how do you tie it? Eventually, I got so frustrated with the thing, I just kind of dropped out.
Yeah, that's something that's a bad DM. You can go into detail, like, okay, what type knot do you tie, all that. Easiest way to do it as somebody who's RPGA sanctioned, who did this for a living, easiest way to set it up is, okay, how much time are you gonna take? You're gonna take 20, you're gonna take 10, or you want to run this off with a skill roll if you do it quick. Smart player will take 10 or take 20.
20
that
what?
basically means take 10 rounds, which is roughly, right at about 15.5 seconds real time. Take 20 is basically take as much time as you need, which for tying a rope, I would say about 1 minute 30 seconds.
That's also not getting into the major issue of, I've never played D&D. Nobody told me anything of how to play the goddamn game.
That's more case of bad DM. The DM is there not to puppet master the people and try to goad them along a path. A DM is there to make the gameplay experience easier and to facilitate the players to enjoy the world. That's it.
Yeah.
They're there to adjudicate and facilitate ease of play. That's it.
Yeah, that didn't happen. Okay, so the whole roll for initiative thing, well, I've never played D&D. Well, no one told me that was a thing. And so, what ended up happening during one of those sessions, everybody rolled for an initiative. I didn't know what that was, and so they kind of forgot about me. And so, while everybody's attacking and fighting, I'm just kind of sitting there doing absolutely fuck all. It's like, you could have told me what that was? How am I supposed to know?
Yeah, that's just a bad DM, bad group.
It's like, I've played, various RPGs, but in that, it's not like you have to do anything. You just attack.
Well, it's taken care of for you. The systems are still there, and like, say, the old BioWare RPGs or the older Elder Scrolls RPGs, it's taken care of for you. Taken care of for you, but it's just obfuscated.
Yeah.
And who killed Warhammer? Sadly, Games Workshop. When they introduced Age of Sigmar, they killed everything related to Warhammer Fantasy. You cannot play the system outside of at your house with friends. That's it. No new models being made. All the old models are discontinued. There are fan-made rules for 8th and 9th edition, but that's it. You want an army, you're buying it used.
And I had read, I'm not sure how true it is, but the reason they decided to kill it was because it wasn't selling as many models as 40K, so...
Yeah, they just wanted him to cash cow.
And thus they alienated many fans.
Well, the sad part is, it's now making... You're not going to get this in official financial reports unless you're a shareholder, but I can tell you, I can't reveal my source, but I can tell you the Age of Sigmar is actually doing worse than Warhammer Fantasies. They killed one good thing to try to replace it with a cash cow, which is a dried up cash cow.
It's hilarious to me. And you mentioned something about Sigmarines, or Sigmar Marines. Now, what's funny about that is there's a fanfic that's set on the Warhammer world that never got a name. And it's sort of a comedy fanfic. And one of the characters reenacts the scene from Dawn of War Soulstorm. He's like, they will not die, no. But we are the Sigmarines! I thought it was a joke! I didn't know it was serious!
Yeah, they're not called Sigmarines, but we call them that because you can very plainly tell on models where just somebody in their AutoCAD program took the base model for a Space Marine as, you know, the basis, changed up some of the initial meshes, and that's it. That's all they did.
Yeah.
And to answer your question, Tech, the writing is horrible. All of the models have been betrayed. I mean, elves now are merfolk with a obsession with fish on land. Don't ask. It's as dumb as it sounds. The dwarves are now steampunk for some reason, and I don't mean steampunk as in, you know, oh hey, cool, they're finally, you know, adapting new tech, you know. No, I mean as in these are Jules Verne rejects. Even Jules Verne was wild of the flights of fancy that he's known of. He would just look at this and say, okay, that's just retarded.
Yeah. So basically, they become like the goblins in World of Warcraft. Oh,
it's worse. It's funny you mentioned Warcraft because everything sculpt-wise and, you know, art-wise is becoming WoWified. You know, massive frick-off pauldrons and just really cartoony design. But there's nothing serious about it. There's no pathos to it anymore. It's just become, okay, well, let's have some literal Saturday morning cartoon villains, just bash it out with no thought, no strategy, no overall storyline. See you again next weekend, kids. Be sure to buy our toys.
Go Trek! You shall be my slave! Can you imagine Kel? For those who don't know who Kel is, undead dwarf, white. Imagine him being turned into Skeletor.
Actually, I would hold Skeletor as more of a threat.
What?
That's how bad things have gotten.
So wait, does Chaos not exist in that, or?
It sort of does, but it's this really, really neutered form of Chaos, which is one note to the extreme. Nurgle has become pathetically neutered. All his followers are now happy, you know, they may be rotting, but they're all smiles, they're all the lovely bunch, and you know, it's none of the classic of, you know, plague bearers being rather dour souls of the damned, died due to Nurgle's rot, and just desiccated, bloated, nasty corpses. Now it's tentacles, and everything's smiling now.
Yeah, it sounds almost as bad as those Junior Warhammer novels, Warhammer 40k novels with the obvious heretics. It's like, what are they doing?
Going for the quote-unquote broader market. Problem is, the broader market doesn't exist, so they're just watering everything down to where it's flavorless.
1920 style civilian Thompsons. Yeah, you'll have to feel.
Yeah, you can get remake semi-auto Thompsons from Magnum, from Thompson Weapon Company, which is the same as the guys who make the Desert Eagle and Car Arms.
Yeah, the last time I saw a Thompson for sale was actually in a gun magazine. It was one of those, you know, those really stupid gold-plated guns they like to sell for whatever reason.
Yeah.
It was one of those commemorative ones. It's like, do people actually buy those? I mean,
some do. Mostly as collector's pieces and something nice to hang on the wall.
I mean, I can't imagine those really being worth that much, though.
Depends. If the artwork, the engraving is well done, yeah, they hold their collector's value.
Might have to go try to find that, although I'm not sure where that magazine is at the moment. It's probably
they do one Thompson pseudo submachine gun in high polished 24 karat gold, which is ostentatious and gaudy as all hell.
Yeah, if you... The people who buy that are the people who buy the... What the hell?
And the drum magazine is high polished gold. Yeah, I don't even see a pimp wanting that.
I'd rather... If I was going to spend that kind of money, I'd buy a Korth. Or a Cord, or whatever that thing's called. That super high quality 1911. Starts with a K. It's the Germans.
Headphones being unplugged. Hold on.
Alright.
Okay. Need to get a new adapter for this.
I actually found a old pair of my headphones. Actually, I'm not going to try to open that drawer, because if I do, the drawer on top of it will crash.
Like, there are certain gold guns that don't hold their value, though. Like the quote-unquote gold that's really titanium plated.
That is so...
Desert Eagles. Those don't hold their value that well.
But they're in all the great movies, like Resident Evil 2.
Yeah, but it's not the titanium tiger stripe plated one.
That Resident Evil 2. That was actually one of my... That's my favorite of the Resident Evil.
Who's got one? Who's got one of the...
Thompson's machine. Those things are... Those Thompsons, though, do weigh a lot, though. Like 12 pounds.
Yeah, they're not light.
One of the things I liked about Resident Evil 2, the film, despite it being kind of crappy, Jill Valentine in that uses a Smith & Wesson 5946. If you look it up on IMFDB, she does use that in the film. And that is awesome. Although she does end up just pulling one completely out of her ass. Not literally, but figuratively. To give to one of the characters that immediately dies 5 seconds afterwards. Eventually I gotta do a review of Resident Evil 2, the film. Just because it's not a very good movie, like, at all. It's one of those where they introduce characters and kill them off almost immediately. And it's like, what was the point of that? Whoever wrote that had no idea how to write. It's like, they must have just completely failed their creative writing classes. Anything that chaos exists in fantasy? It's the same as the 40K.
Yeah, they're the same. They're proven to be the same.
Yeah, what I think GW ended up saying at some point, though, was that they were the same but different because they wanted to really just get it away from 40K. From what I've read... there was a lot bigger connection to 40K early on. This was stuff that was good.
That's proven with the squats. There was a direct connection.
And evidently, in one of the rule books, although I've never read it, Chaos Space Marines showed up and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was... Remember, there's what I jokingly call the Grim Derp cycle. When 40K started, when it was Rogue Trader, it was decidedly Grim Derp, not Grim Dark. Grim Dark didn't really come into play until 1999 and the advent of 3rd edition.
It really worked.
Before that, you had squats, which were essentially space dwarf pseudo bikers, which were actually pretty cool. Like, that was more Grim Dark than it was Grim Derp. But they got killed off in 1999, so what you gonna do?
And I have not played Arx Fatalis yet. Although I am aware that it exists.
I have played it. I want to get back to it. It's been a while.
And it's one of those things where... That's a RPG, right? At least I vaguely remember it being something along those lines. It's been a long time since I've looked at it.
Yeah, it's action role-playing.
Yeah, I would just like to have another sci-fi RPG. for a second, I considered trying to play Mass Effect Andromeda to see how bad it was, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it.
You know what that causes that? It's a little thing in the back of your head called sanity, realizing this is a bad idea.
Yeah, because the plot looks like it's just utter. It looks like it's not even an RPG at this point. That it's just a third-person shooter with boring characters and people with tired faces.
Well, honestly, there's very few actual RPGs being released as the last good one I know of really is a very low fantasy setting, and that's Kingdom Come Deliverance.
Which is as far from sci-fi as you can get.
Yeah. Well, the good news is there's Cyberpunk coming.
Yeah, it's just close enough, but it's like you got KOTOR, and you can go to different planets. There's all these high technology things going on. KOTOR 1 is probably the only epic sci-fi RPG ever made.
No. There's Arachnarox.
What's that?
That was a sci-fi RPG made on the Quake engine.
Why have I not heard of this?
Because it's actually pretty niche. And it is the definition of a cult game. I would love to see a sequel to it, but unless somehow, by some dark miracle, we could bring back Ion Storm, I don't really see that happening.
Yeah, I need to look that up. Although I get the feeling it's probably not quite as, shall we say, polished as KOTOR 1 was.
Storyline-wise, it's pretty good. Now, polish-wise, in terms of gameplay, no, it's of the era. Don't get high hopes there. But storyline-wise, yeah, it's actually quite decent.
Why am I not surprised? Because like with I almost said Warhammer. Yeah, there's never going to be a Warhammer RPG, that's for sure. A good one.
Sort of been, but yeah.
And the tabletop versions don't count, because I know those exist. Inquisitor and all the rest. I'm talking about the computer ones. Oh crap, I'm gonna be... Okay, good, I wasn't raped in the wall. But, wall rapage aside, when it comes to, KOTOR 1, you know, when you really think about that plot, you know, you gotta find all the star maps, you gotta find the Star Forge. You know, that's really cool what you're doing in there. That is like novel quality, in my opinion. I mean, obviously it's simplified for a game, you know, you collect X number of things, but it's got a good mystery, it's got a good... The Rakata are kind of, they're not like the, Reapers or anything, they're not on that scale, but they're still pretty mysterious. You know, and it really added a lot to the Star Wars mythos. And, you know, it's like... That was just one of the great games of... Well, it's a great game in general. When people throw around greatest game of all time, it definitely applies to that. Now, of course, KOTOR 2 is way better in some respects, but it definitely wasn't as epic in scope as KOTOR 1. It's a much more personal story in many instances.
As for text-to-speech device, yes, I've seen every episode. I thoroughly support Brava Alpha Busa.
I haven't seen every episode, but I have seen a few of them. Oh, crap. Really? 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 You're gonna tell me that you get... As I said, this game is tough. Okay, this is probably not a good idea. Yeah, that wasn't a good idea. It worked for a little bit, but dual-wielding napalm cannons in a small area is not something I'd recommend. Turn and fire. Turn and fire. Yeah, I'm starting to remember how difficult this game was. See, this is... Dusk has nothing on this in terms of difficulty. Might they blow themselves up?
No, they can by accident. They throw dynamite the wrong way.
Oh, crap, crap. Monolith did not pull any punches, that's for sure. Gotta go to third-person mode. Like, this makes Duke Nukem look easy, and Duke Nukem was not an easy first-person shooter. Just try beating Duke Nukem on easy if you've never played a classic first-person shooter before. It's not...
Yeah, you go in guns running, things are gonna be bad.
And this is on the second difficulty level, and as you can see... Crap. Sci-fi settings are not really made in video games. That is true. There's one sci-fi setting that might make for a good video game. I think it's called Traveler. It's a sort of a golden age of sci-fi kind of thing.
Closest we've seen to Traveler being made is the two offshoot Ultimas, Savage Lands, and oh shoot, I forget the other one.
I know what you're talking about. Those are actually free on GOG, I think. Or at least one of them is.
They're completely free on GOG. I don't quite remember, but I think there's also an open source implementation of the game to be run on almost any OS as well. And they're not bad, but it's more Jules Verne than anything else. That and Time Pirates.
A spaceship run on Steam. Give me napalm. There's actually a pretty good source port outside of that one glitch that I got.
Till Night Dive comes out with their remake, this is about as best we're gonna get for Blood.
And Techstorm, I gotta say, Postal Dude.
Yeah.
Duke is actually...
I'd rather drink more with Postal Dude. Nothing personal with Duke Nukem, but we've seen that either he can't hold his alcohol or his brand of beer is, you know, very close to being that of Thermonuclear Penguin. Yes, that is an actual beer. It's one of the world's strongest.
Really? I was actually gonna say Space Wolf Grog.
Well, this is essentially beer that, you know, per ounce is about the same as a shot of whiskey.
That must be very niche. I can't imagine that many people drinking that.
No, it's a microbrew.
Drink too much of that, you'll end up dying of alcohol poisoning.
Yeah, that's why they recommend, and they give you the full warning on the can. It's like, limit yourself to 1 can maximum.
Although, did that even exist at the time of Duke Nukem Forever?
No, but as in terms of Duke Nukem Forever, yes. As in terms of Duke Nukem, no.
So they probably didn't even know that existed. It burns! No, don't tell me I fell... Wait a minute. No clip. Thank you. Oh, the no...
My favorite, you know, high volume, high horsepower beer has been one by Sterling Brewing Company called Abrasive.
Yep. God damn it. You definitely do not want to charge anywhere. Charge in this game.
And Vulcan, you actually, Postal Dude is Gen X.
The Postal Dude and Duke are related. It's his cousin. Twice removed.
I don't know about cousin, but maybe brother from another mother.
Seems legit. I could make a horrible joke about Postal Dude now, but I won't. Just because I don't want to bring that in. I don't know, maybe I should. Nah. Because if that's the case, then he might have been never mind. Never mind. Okay, what is a boomer?
Boomer technically is somebody born in the baby boom. Everybody uses it wrong. Like, they just use it to describe somebody who's really bad with tech, which is the complete wrong use of the term boomer.
It's like, yeah, I thought baby boomers would be considerably older.
My parents were baby boomers. They weren't bad with tech, but they were baby boomers. They were, you know.
Oh, that reminds me of something hilarious. Many, many years ago, back when I was a young lad, I heard some idiot who was the same age as me say that they were the child of baby boomers. No, you weren't, unless you're like in your 20s. Like, people do not.
Well, yes and no. I mean, baby boomers could. You know, these are the children that were, you know, growing up in the Korean War era. So that's a pretty big, broad group of people there.
Still. I thought it was foolish. I thought it was foolish for them to say such things.
Very much. It may very well be, but
Maybe they had really, really old parents. Gotta love that sky texture. It looks like Cumulus. Really? I need another key?
yeah, that's one of the downsides of Blood. There are 6 keys per level at times.
Like, how many keys do I need? I'm already up here! Yeah, this source port really does work quite well. This is one of those games where you really do need a source port. Trying to play this with tank controls is just horrible. And I've tried it before.
And technically, Vulcan Duke, given the timeline that he's in, he's actually a middle Gen X.
I did not.
You know the timeline.
Let's see, does this take me back here? Okay, good. Oh, it does work, so who knows what that key is?
And yeah, he was born. Well, we know that he was young adult at the time of his first mission. So, and we know when that mission takes place. So, generation-wise, he was right about in the middle of the Gen X.
Now, is that covered in Duke Nukem 1?
Duke Nukem 1 and 2.
Okay. Because haven't really played Duke Nukem 1 altogether that much, but I have played Duke Nukem 2, where evidently he showed up on Oprah to hawk his book, Why I'm So Great.
Yep.
I find that funny, though. It's like, that's back when Oprah actually had her own TV show, and only one show. Now she has her own bloody network.
As well as her own food service, and yeah, she's got a lot.
Food service? Okay.
Yeah, she's hawking a pizza nowadays made with dough is made mostly with cauliflower.
Yeah. The sun will come out tomorrow. Will it? Will it really?
Well, it's come out for every tomorrow thus far.
Yep.
You suppose if you let Chernobog win, it won't.
Who needs it? Just get some fluorescent lights, and you'll be fine. I mean, there's people that grow weed in their closet, so there's that. You could grow plenty of crops in there, maybe.
Yeah, never mind that everything else is freezing.
Yeah, just turn the heater up. I mean, as we all know, the electricity just comes magically from the wall. That's why you don't...
As for Hatred, Hatred's just a parody game. Just because it's not as in one space and it genuinely goes out of its way to try to be funny as Postal does, doesn't mean it's not parody. It's basically take every last uber edgy tryhard, now magnify it to 11, and now you have Not Important from Hatred.
Hatred. I honestly think that Hatred was made for more cynical reasons. They knew it was going to get all that free publicity, and so that's why they ended up making it.
That's part of it, but it's actually just really intended to be just a snide. No punches pulled. Just laugh at everything. Is it as good as Postal? Oh hell no! I will fully admit that. But it's not a bad game.
I have not played it just because it doesn't really interest me. I haven't played Postal 1, just because it doesn't look that amazing to me, to be perfectly honest.
If you're gonna play it, play the remake. The old version is kind of a pain in the butt.
And it probably ran only on Windows 95 or something.
Not quite that bad, but it definitely doesn't run that solid.
Interests me to be good, me to be controversial. Bip. Well, why am I not surprised that Shadow was into that? Why am I not surprised? Shadow for the memes. Oh, the memes. Not the memes. Actually, recently, somebody ended up going to jail over some kind of meme. Because, as you know, you need a permit for that free speech. You need a permit for that speech, I should say, because it's certainly not free.
Oh, but here in the U.S., you can countersue. As the U.K., well, just ask Tommy Robinson. That's not going so well.
Yeah, you're out of luck. But then again, is that really that surprising? Not to get political or controversial. Let's be reasonable. That's why that First Amendment was made to begin with.
The First Amendment isn't there to protect friendly speech. You don't need a friendly speech to protect somebody saying, "Oh, how are you doing? Hi." Stuff like that. No. You need protection for free speech for the controversial things.
Exactly. Or anything that is deemed controversial.
Show yourself.
Oh.
Yourself.
Oh, is this the end of the first episode? That was fast.
Yep.
I'm betting that is a reference to Corvus.
A little bit, yeah.
Crap, 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 crap. Where's the napalm? Wait, out of napalm. Shit, whatever. Yeah, I got raped in the corner. Or should I not say that? Because that's offensive.
Well, you're facing a giant frick-off demon. I'm pretty sure that rape is not off his repertoire.
No, you caught on the wall! Actually, wait, what? See, there's an napalm can. Whatever. I found it. Heal. He's just jumping around.
Heck, no, because I know I'm not that good of a person.
There he is. I think I got him with some splash damage. Crap.
I can't confirm on that hit. You got him a little bit of splash damage.
That was a miss. Aha!
And Jason, most memes kind of are unfunny because of the nature of them. It's just basically no thoughts put into the humor.
Oh, so basically Family Guy humor then.
No, it falls under the lol so random, and that's D-U-M-B, not random, as in, you know, genuinely random.
Crap! How much damage is this guy gonna take?
He takes quite a bit. The best way to fight him really is to fight him on that central platform.
Oh. Probably shouldn't have saved at 15 health. That's just gonna make things a little more difficult, but you know what? I don't care. Let's see, and jump.
As for Hatred, if you want to play it without hating yourself, there's mods for making it a lot goofier.
Hatred the Pacifist Edition. You just go to the store, and that's it. Okay, I'm going to be able to take a grand total of 1 hit from him.
You do know there is the resurrect command, right?
Yeah, but I don't want to cheat, though. I want to try to beat this fair and square, except for that one no clip, but that's primarily because I'm too lazy to find the stairs. Used to be I would cheat, like go to God mode, but now it's much more satisfying to beat him with just quick saves.
Yeah. As for shooting both barrels of double-barreled shotgun at once, yes. Advice: plant your feet firmly, and if at all possible, make sure you have a good butt pad on that shotgun.
I actually did that a grand total of once with birdshot, and yeah, that will rack you back a bit. Damn. And not all double barrels will let you do that either.
Yeah, some have only one trigger.
Eventually, I'm going to do a video on that double barrel that I have. It was one that I got for super cheap. That is from a brand that is sadly forgotten these days. J.C. Higgins. It's even marked Sears and Roebuck, and well, Sears is now out of business.
Semi out of business.
And Sears used to actually carry their own line of guns. Well, just about all the big department stores carry their own guns. You know, Sears did, Montgomery Ward, a few others did, whose names I can't remember.
Well, Sears, most of their guns were Savage. Although they did have J.C. Higgins, but like I said, most of theirs, like their pump actions, were Savage.
I do know that their rifles were made by FN, or surprisingly high quality.
Oh, most of the Sears Roebuck rifle, shotguns, sporting arms were high quality.
And from what I have read, I haven't bought one just because I don't need any more bolt actions at this point. The bolt action 30-06 and various other calibers can be had for pretty cheap these days. You can actually get like an FN made bolt action rifle you can get for about $500 if it's marked like J.C. Higgins, because nobody cares about them. Damn. What do I need?
Tech, the reason why it feels that way is Hatred is designed to be defensive to everyone. That's the point.
Okay, we got 44 sticks of dynamite. And safe. This guy is tough. This is just the first boss. See, it'd be nice if I had like a life meter I could see or something like that. Mainly getting him with splash damage with this. Yeah, it is substantial. Shit. I say that as I die. It is substantially easier to fight him up here, but... Damn. Okay, I'm gonna do an ammo search. Because trying to hit him with that dynamite is not... It's just not happening. What the hell is that?
And no Vulcan, this is more like the ghouls and ghosts of first-person shooters.
Damn.
Except you don't have to beat it twice.
Hopefully. There's probably a mod for that. Flares? Need some gasoline or something. Hey, it's like real life. Okay, hopefully this will be enough. It probably won't be. Damn. Okay, save. See, all the bosses in Dusk were way easier than this. Even the final boss didn't take this much effort. God damn it.
Tech, that's not always the case. Like the FS2000, it's a good gun, and it's still in service, still being made, but it's not being sold because almost nobody bought it. Everybody bought it on clearance.
And
The
yet,
thing is, the market's very, very picky. If you want to release something in the U.S., you pretty much have to listen to exactly what the customers want and get it right the first time.
sadly, unless it's a AK or AR, you're kind of screwed. Although the the P64, the P90S still has endured to this day, which I'm actually quite surprised at, actually. You would not think that... I mean, it does have its role, but you wouldn't think something like that would survive as long as it has.
Some things do. I mean, for some reason, the Walther PPQ is still being made and still being sold. Even though I can point to several other guns far cheaper that do the job just as good, if not better.
It has that mystique. I think you're thinking of the PPK, not the PPQ.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
3 lashes
Yes,
at dawn.
PPQ actually is quite good. I would highly recommend that particular pistol.
That's what I've heard. Crap. Come on, how long...
That's the funny thing. When Walther does a budget pistol, it's actually really good.
Okay. Give ammo. Really? Oh, well. Can't give the dead ammo, can you? Okay, give me F9.
And tech, you're not going to find, quote-unquote, an SL8 conversion. You're going to have to send it off to Tommy Boss to get it converted. Because it's got to be cut, it's got to be sonically welded, and you're going to need essentially what are G36 parts, such as the locking block, the bolt carrier assembly, and the rear trunnion. Which is, there's no, oh, I'm just going to swap parts over. It's a case of Tommy's going to have to sit there and retool the thing.
I had to cheat. I just am sick of trying. This guy won't die. I don't have God mode. I at least want something to shoot at him that isn't a gutty. Really? He's gonna do that much damage to me? Can he even die? Is this like a glitch or something?
No, he can definitely die. It's just he's a tough SOB.
Fighting for 15, goddammit. Do I have to shoot Corvus? No. Finally!
Sleep, Ophelia.
Oh, build engine editors and tools, Ken Silverman. Ah. My thumb. James Wilson III! Killstrom.
And as in terms of where can you buy an SL8, it's going to be used. That's the only way you're going to buy it. As for if you want a G36, go to Atlantic Firearms, look up Tommy Built Tactical T36. It's Tommy Bostic, one of the greatest HK gunsmiths in the U.S., putting out his own license, well, not licensed, but approved clone of the HK G36.
Which is quite an interesting thing. It goes to show you that a lot of these things are being resurrected despite the fact, despite that assault weapons ban of, I think, 86 or something along those lines.
Well, it's 86 and it's the import ban of 93.
Okay.
And the whole meme of HK hates you, they don't. It's just they can't. They're dealing with two governments that are very anti-gun sales. They're dealing with Germany, and they're dealing with some of our politicians in the U.S. So it's a pain in the butt.
And that 922R compliance is quite aggravating indeed. I mean, yeah. And besides, how are they going to actually, you know, determine how many parts you have in your gun anyway? Because
sometimes you'll get an officer who knows and they will check your gun. I've been there back in the days of the Saiga 12 conversions.
Ugh.
I literally had to take apart an entire shotgun to show him, yes, 9/10 of the parts are made in the U.S.
See, my problem with that is, like, can they even do that? I mean, can just somebody say, "Let me see what parts are in your gun"? That doesn't seem legal to me.
Well, it depends. If they have reason to suspect, yes, they can. But that being said, I'm not your usual case. Remember, I've been in firearm sales for a long time. I'm on a first-name basis with quite a few members of the BATFB.
So I guess you wouldn't expect them just to show up at a local gun range and say, like, "Let me see what parts are in your gun, sir."
Right. And not unless... They wouldn't really do it unless you're, under suspicion of committing a crime, in which case they'll do that as an extra charge they can pop you for.
Well, that's something at least. Still seems kind of skeevy, though.
As for can you buy one with the carry handle integrated optic? Here's the thing. The rail that's on a G36 is a modular piece. So you can buy the carry handle optic and just replace it on any G36 or G36 clone. In which case you're going to HK parts for that.
And paying half your annual salary, that's for sure.
No, the carry handle optic's not ungodly expensive. It's about as expensive as a good aim point.
Which is still expensive, though. Because aim point is not cheap.
Well,
it's the Street
not
Sharks.
Spectre optic or something similar.
Actually, I forget how much are aim points, like 200 or 300? Well, they're not 200 or 300, I know that, but still.
Just depends on the model. Like, here's the thing: if you're not going to be using night vision, but you want one of the aim point red dots, go with the H1, the Hunter's model. It's about $200 cheaper. It's about right at 400 on average. MSRP is like 560. And the only difference between that and the T1 is night vision use.
Night vision is not cheap, that is for sure.
Oh no, that's something that's not come down. The reason it's not cheap is right now the best night vision Gen 3 is using cathode ray tubes.
Yeah.
Well, before you laugh, understand cathode ray tubes have the best light collimation of any tech. Your digital night vision is going to eventually catch up, but it's probably going to be another 10 to 15 years before it does.
Yeah, the CRT is not dead then. Well, he's not dead yet. Now, I'd like to know how they were able to bundle night vision goggles with, there was a COD release that had that.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's Modern Warfare 2. I've got that. And all it is just a cheap LCD monitor, a cheap IR filterless camera, and a couple IR LEDs. It's not true night vision, but it'll see in darkened environments.
So is it any good, though? Like, is it actually useful, or is it just a toy?
It's a toy. You can still... If you shut the lights off and have just the IR light coming off it, you can use it to see at night, but I'm going to be honest, it's a toy. Your field of vision is like looking through two toilet paper tubes, and you're going to get a headache from it real quick.
So it sounds like it's kind of like the night vision shots you could get with some of those older cameras.
This exact same technology.
Okay. Because I have a Sony High 8 camera with one of those.
As for better accuracy, it depends on the build. G36, if we go like standard G36 plus M4A and versus like say an M4A1 SOCOM Block 1, it's going to be identical.
And as for Waco, I actually did a whole report on that in college. Ugh. That is a massive can of worms, to say the least.
Yeah, and it could have never happened if the FBI just allowed the sheriff to talk to Koresh. The sheriff already knew David Koresh.
Yeah.
The ATF did that simply because they wanted to make an example.
And what was really interesting is that immediately afterwards, there was so much fake news that came out about what happened. Most notably, the door, where they ended up lying about that, saying they didn't pull the door off, even though they actually did. All these details that surfaced years later. You know, before the advent of the internet, a lot of these governmental agencies were able to get away with a lot more than they do today. And they still get away with stuff today, but you can definitely have a different... You can definitely run counter to the narrative easier today. Just look at that MAGA hat thing. You know, 10 or 20 years ago, well, even 10 years ago, the whole narrative of that would have been completely controlled by the big three news organizations. Whereas today, you know, you can show what really happened, show that literally everything that had been mentioned was a lie. That's the thing about the internet. That's why the people want to censor it as much as they do. Now, speaking of getting around censorship, there's apparently some new app that's since been released called the Dissenter app.
Yeah.
And it lets you comment on anything, evidently. I've not actually used it yet, but it certainly sounds like it will allow a lot more freedom when it comes to exchanging dissenting opinions. Which means we can finally... No, go on.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, now we can finally comment on Spoonie's videos again. Not that anyone cares anymore.
I love that.
Yeah. Not that anyone cares anymore, but...
As for the M4, it's essentially the same as the M16. The only difference is the M4 is lighter and smaller. Well, I say lighter. Sometimes lighter.
The more crap you put on there, the heavier it gets.
Yeah, this is true.
Like what I get? You know, Caleb, I thought you were supposed to be undead. How are you drowning? Yeah, you'll be fine, Caleb. It's just water. Besides,
Silver Wings, that's why I don't buy anything from Troy, because... Yeah, they decided to hire Lon Horiuchi after that and Ruby Ridge, and that's no. That's very no.
I didn't actually know who that guy was till you mentioned it. Because I never actually saw the names of the people who were actually there.
He was the sniper.
Ugh. Now, for those who don't know what Ruby Ridge is, I do recommend researching that. Although you have to wade through oceans of crap when it comes to that. Long story short, you had a guy who cut a shotgun barrel down just a little too short, and basically, I don't know if it was the ATF or not. I think it was.
It was ATF in junction with the FBI.
Showed up.
Lon Horiuchi in both cases was working with the FBI,
and they showed up at his, I think it was a farm, and they ended up shooting his entire family. Oops.
Of which Lon killed his wife and his son.
So, what's kind of interesting, though, is how they're trying to change that narrative a little bit, try to make him look bad. Saying that he was a white supremacist. You get the idea.
Well, it's the same thing they're doing with Michael Jackson all over again. It's a case of unpersoning someone. It's traditional socialist tactics. Best case example I ever put is, take a look at pictures of Stalin through his regime. You'll notice as more and more he goes through the regime, a lot less people that used to be in the photos with him are showing up. And a lot more enemies are being declared. And a lot of them being declared dead.
Yeah, that'll happen. He died in his sleep of a heart attack. We swear.
Shaving accident. Sir, he was damn near decapitated. Really bad shaving accident.
You should have bought a safety razor. Actually, I bet they couldn't even get safety razors in that in the Soviet Union. And yes, I did cheat. I couldn't find those last 3 keys. The moon key is the most annoying key to find. Now today, I'm just going to do 2 hours. Then I'm going to head off to bed. Because I stayed up till 3 in the morning playing GTA 5 yesterday. GTA 5 is indeed a fun multiplayer game, even though, yeah, you got the microtransactions and the shark cards and things of that nature. And the asshole players who are euphemistically described as whales. With the expensive vehicles that they just go around killing everyone with.
You know what? I'm going to start a campaign where we're going to start calling whales what they are. Dorks.
Yeah, but that, like, does a disservice to everyone who is one.
No, because look at the literal definition of what a dork is.
What is it?
Whale penis.
Really? I don't know, it sounds like you made that up.
No, that's where the term comes from.
Why am I not surprised? Oh, well, you know, that's just... I'll never be able to... I'll never be able to be called a dork ever again, because I'll immediately think of that now. You ruined dork for me! How could you?
Well, you still use geek, you still use nerd. Yeah, you can hang your head high.
Still though. I can't pick up whatever that is. Yeah, geek annoys me and nerd is a little better, but dork had such a nice ring to it. Whoa, what the hell? Oh, spider venom or something. Not the camel spiders? I swear if I saw one of those things, I would just completely freak out.
That's when you legitimately pull out the shotgun.
You know, you say that as a joke, but I might end up doing that if I saw one of those things coming after me.
Well, thankfully they're not over here, but I'm of the thorough belief that camel spiders did not evolve. Somebody left a portal open to hell and forgot to close it on the way out.
Or as a neo-Nazi experiment. Or a regular Nazi experiment. Because, they're not really that... They're not as bad as, say, like a Black Widow or a Brown Recluse, but they're just freaky. And they primarily kill... Well, they don't kill people, but they primarily feed, like, when something is asleep, so... They're not that bad, but still... Oh my. Well, you know what? At least a whale penis is not small like certain other ones. Because I actually did... I don't know how I came across this knowledge, but I do have it. Evidently, humanity, of all the various primate species, has the largest penis size. I'm not even joking.
Oh yeah, ratio-wise.
Oh, I thought it was like the largest in general. Shows how much I know. Okay, why do they attribute fatness with toughness?
Well, when it's that much, you know, ossified adipose tissue, it's not going to exactly be... It's not going to fall off the bone.
This is where you need a really good melee attack. Charge in, stab. Usually met some of the... Oh, okay. Oh, I do not... The ATF is an interesting organization.
Depends. Local ATF, they prefer not to talk about it. In fact, I know one particular agent who's... A way to get him depressed is to talk about it. He's not a fan at all of what happened.
Oh, crap, crap, crap.
I'm gonna lay most of the blame of both Ruby Ridge and Waco on one person, Janet Reno.
Dun 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 dun. Yes. Dude, what's funny is most people don't even know who that is now.
Well, she's buried and gone, thank heavens.
She was also the one behind kidnapping that kid. What's
Elian Gonzalez.
Yeah, that's his name. And shipping him off to a communist country, because I bet he appreciated that!
No, I've never encountered camel spider because I've never been over to the UAE, and I knock on wood for that. I have encountered brown recluses and, black widows aplenty. And when I was in Arizona, you better believe I encountered quite a few scorpions.
What's kind of funny about that is I did have a friend of mine mention that they didn't know what a scorpion was. And so that, oh, it's a cute bug. And we're about to touch it, but somebody thankfully stopped them in time. It's like, that would have
Bad idea.
That would have gone very poorly. If you see a scorpion, crush it.
In Arizona, there's a reason you wake up and you check your boots every morning before you put them on.
There we go. No, I already came here.
Same really goes for West Texas onward.
Thankfully, in the old Hughes town, there's nothing too bad in terms of bugs except for tree roaches, and they don't actually do anything to you.
Other than be exceptionally annoying.
And disgusting. I had one climb on my foot without me knowing about it, and that woke me up pretty fast, just saying. Because, damn. Because at some point, it climbed on there, and I didn't know it was there until I was like, hey, is there something on my foot? Then I just saw it. It was like half the size of my foot. That is one of the creepiest things that has happened in recent years.
As for camel spider, I don't know how it tastes fried. I've had, tarantula.
Yeah.
It is survival training.
I suppose. I'll wait till society collapses, and then I'll do it.
It's not terrible. I mean, cooked over an open fire, I think it's a lot worse I've had. And no, the best way to put it, really gamey, kind of stringy, crunchy. Doesn't taste like crab one bit.
And I actually did know somebody who had a tarantula for a pet. And I'm glad they didn't have a tarantula for a pet when I met them, because I do not want to be anywhere near giant spiders. Well, they're not that giant, but still. A spider that can take down a bird. Well, technically, I guess a tarantula is a spider. It's a member of the same family, at least. But they also ended up having hissing cockroaches as pets as well.
No thanks.
Thankfully,
those bastards I find terribly annoying. They just decide to make so much noise and try to be annoying.
For me, when it comes to pets, give me a grand total of nothing. And blood has very, very maze-like levels. Not maze-like, they are mazes. And 6 keys. 6?
I need a key.
It's like, how many keys do I have at this point?
Vulcan, you wouldn't say that if you were in Louisiana. Brown recluses and black widows are scared of nothing.
Finally. And when it comes to the brown recluse is one of those spiders that I'm actually legitimately afraid of, because you can die from that.
Well, even if you don't die, it's gonna suck a whole hell of a lot unless you get immediate medical treatment.
Yeah. Okay, I love how like the surface is just filled with guts and various bones, and it's perfectly clear underneath.
The fat floats.
I not want to be swimming in this shit, that's for sure. Okay, so I've got most of the keys now.
I can't speak for Australia, but I've got a few friends who can.
Australia. Giant bugs. Snakes. Dingoes.
Drop bears.
Alright. I've been going 1 hour 54 minutes, but I'm already tired. So, I am General Lotz.
And I'm Ranick.
And we're going to wish you good in blood. Whatever. Maybe not. Make you happy.